Our next speaker, Dr. Alexandre Bétourné, is going to come on and speak with us about the Critical Path Institute and their Rare Mitochondrial Diseases Task Force. He'll provide an overview of their mission and an update on near-term deliverables, including the development of recommendations to enhance registry data collections and discuss long-term goals with case examples of drug development tools that the group aims to generate. So welcome, Dr. Bétourné, and go right ahead.
Thank you, Leora. I have to say this is probably the best pronunciation of my name I've heard since I've been working in the US, so thank you for that. Hey everyone, I'm Executive Director for the Rare Disease Cures Accelerator Data and Analytics Platform at the Critical Path Institute, going to provide you an update on our task force for rare mitochondrial disease. Very briefly, just to, for those who don't know about the Rare Disease Cures Accelerator, it's an effort being led out of the Critical Path Institute. We're a nonprofit. It's entirely funded by FDA. It is both a platform and a program for rare disease. The platform called the RDCA DAP is a public interface for rare disease data aggregation and sharing of that rare disease data to the ecosystem, including industry, foundations, and academics. Really, the purpose is to maximize the use and the utility of rare disease data by providing that data through a free analytical portal that is accessible internationally. We're also a program. As a program team, we work to foster a collaborative ecosystem and promote data sharing, but we're also working to leverage the growing database to inform the development of solutions for drug development. How we do that? We do that through the RDC ADAPT task forces. There are small-scale public-private partnerships that aim to convene industry, academics, and foundations at the table with us to discuss unmet needs in rare disease, to prioritize these unmet needs and try to develop single deliverables that we will advance as a team, hoping to help future drug development for rare disease. So we have a number of groups right now, including a group in Friedreich's ataxia, progressive supranuclear palsy, limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, and a task force for rare mitochondrial disease. The task force was launched in 2024 upon a seed funding from the Cure Mito Foundation and a seed funding from Astellas. We have a lot of members, including foundations, so I'm not going to name them all. I'm sure you know them. We also have subject matter experts at the table, non-profit data platform team members, including REX and cohorts, and as I mentioned, a seed funding from industry. The task force aims to deliver a growing amount of work, starting by building an aggregated database in primary mitochondrial disease, with the aim of making that database available to the ecosystem to inform research and drug development solutions, but also advance recommendation for helping the field collect more and potentially better data in the future. And we have longer term goals, so I'm going to go through all of that. The first step, really, anything we do at the Critical Path Institute and RDC ADAP is based on data. So we call them data-driven solutions to help with unmet needs in rare disease or help solve some of the bottlenecks that drug developers are facing. So really, as a first step, we need to build a database in the RDC ADAP platform in primary mitochondrial disease. So we worked with a group to identify key data sets that we are trying to negotiate for them to be shared into the RDC ADAP platform. Currently, we have 2 registries, including the Cure Mito registry, the James Foundation registry data. We also have data from the Mito Action app, hoping for an update of that data set later this year. We're also continuing to work and discussing with the field and industry, registries, and other platforms to provide more data into the RDC ADAP platform. We don't own the data in the RDC ADAP platform. It's very important. We are contributors, we are custodians of the data. We curate the data to maximize their utility, and we make it available to external users. We really don't look at owning the data. We look at maximizing the utility and really opening the data for access so that scientists can use the data to develop solutions. And I'll go through some examples of what can be done when we foster that data sharing environment. So this is our current progress for the task force. Lots of work still ongoing, and we really need to continue to discuss with everybody to get data in so that we can do more work. The second thing we are working on is a white paper that is going to enforce early recommendations for data collections. That's really one of the specialties of the Critical Path Institute. Each dataset that we get is curated by a team of experts that work to maximize the utility of each dataset that we get. That helps us really take a deep dive into the data and potentially extract some recommendations and lessons learned. With the task force, because the data aggregation is still an ongoing effort and we need more single data sets, we started using data dictionaries, including the data dictionaries that were shared by several members from our task force. And a scientist in our team, her name is RuPaul, worked to take a look at these data dictionaries and work on the alignment, on analyzing the alignment between all the different questions that are being asked by these different registries. This was a manual alignment effort done for CHAMPS, Mito, QSARS, and hope for PDCD data dictionaries. We're starting to get additional data dictionaries from the group to continue the work. She did that alignment, divided the questions by key broad domains, and then matched the question by similarity, where the question asked completely similar between the different groups, meaning same, where they similar, meaning that the question were addressing the same concept, but the phrasing of the questions was different across the questionnaires, or were the questions unique to a particular registry for a particular domain. So this is just an example. This is just showing you like all the domains that we broadly use to fit in all these questions from the different data dictionaries. And an unpublished output that shows the overlap by domain for all the, in terms of the amount of questions that are same, similar, or unique between the registries. And so that's the proportion of questions. In blue are unique questions, orange similar, and gray same. And this is shown by domain. So that gives you like gives us some early perspective on how aligned these different efforts were. As you can expect, there is a significant amount of overlap. There is also a significant amount of differences. It is still early. We need more data dictionaries for data analysis not to be biased, but that's already helped us taking a look at where potentially these registry questionnaires could be further harmonized. There is a fair amount of similar questions, which means a room for more harmonization. In symptoms, for example, we see a lot of differences, which is normal because of the diversity of the primary mitochondrial disease and having very different symptoms. But there are other areas where we see some lack of overlap, where we see room for potential recommendation that we could make on a paper. So that's the next step. We are about to wrap up a white paper for the task force. Really, the goal is to tell the world we're here. This is our vision to move the needle forward for primary mitochondrial disease drug development. We are going to bring that early data alignment effort into the paper and start making some early recommendations to help inform future data collection in the space. So that's really the first step. We are going to continue to work on the data, and as we get more data, we can get further insights and potentially refine these early recommendations. So we want and need more data dictionaries to be shared to the group. We also need more data, and as I said, with more data, we can extract lessons learned during the curation process. In later stages, I'm hoping to also get some feedback and input from internal teams at the Critical Path Institute on potential recommendation for COAs and PROs, since we have experts and dedicated consortia at the Critical Path Institute in that space. Finally, going into the vision for the future, and part of that is quickly explained in the white paper. Ultimately, what we want is to accelerate drug development and build solutions to solve unmet needs, and leave some bottlenecks for drug development. As I mentioned, we have a database where we take good care of the data and share it for free to the ecosystem. That's the entire RDC database to date, with 43 different rare disease covered, more than 100 data sets at this stage, with more data always trickling in. That data is being used by scientists on the public interface. And this is a slide that shows you a very high-level summary of what is being done by external users on the platform. I'm not going to go through all the details, but we have industry, consulting firms in healthcare, academics, regulators, patient advocacy group that have in the past or are at this very moment leveraging some patient-level data on the RDC platform to do some work. And a lot of that effort relates to clinical trial design, leveraging the data to inform their future clinical trials, taking a look at endpoints, and how these endpoints relate to disease progression. That's the work that is being done by industry, in particular, with a lot of activity. And that really shows you why data needs to be shared and potentially what the aggregated PMD database can achieve. A great example of a big success was done in Friedreich's ataxia with Reata, the drug company that got the first approval for Friedreich's ataxia, actually gain access to the Friedreich's ataxia aggregated database that we have on RDC ADAP, and they use that data to inform their propensity match analysis that led to the drug approval, that was used and led to the drug approval for the first drug ever in Friedreich's ataxia, really showing the impact of building that database and sharing that database with each other and with industry in particular. Continuing in what long term we will hope to achieve with the task force would be to start building some drug development tools and solutions. Showing you here, going back to the Friedreich's ataxia database, not going into the details, it's a very large database that we have, the biggest non-EHR database for the disease. At CPAF, we are working on the data to develop disease progression modeling. This is what you can see on the right, modeling in pediatrics and adult population based on the scale used in that disease. The point to that modeling work is that out of these disease progression models, at CPAF, we build drug development tools, and I'm going to show you some example on my last slide. These solutions can be pushed to regulatory submission, and we have built that tool for Friedreich's ataxia, a full-blown trial simulation tool that entered regulatory submission last year. And it is a submission that is still ongoing. Showing you these examples, when I'm talking about drug development tools, there are many examples. Just showing you here some examples. It could be trial enrichment tools. And at the Critical Path Institute, we built out of our databases several tools that can now be accessed by people external to CPAF to inform their trial design and use each trial enrichment tools to define populations. Obviously, hopefully make the populations more narrow for more efficient clinical trials. So we have such tools for Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, and Parkinson's disease. And what you see on the right is an example. This is the enrichment tool based on the dopamine transporter imaging in Parkinson's disease patients that really allows you to take a look at your prospective trials criteria, your patient's criteria to try to refine your clinical trial design, enroll less subject, but have a more cohesive patient population for your future trials. Hopefully less patients and greater chances for drug approval. We can also build a full-blown clinical trial simulation tool. See that as the same example that you have on the right, but just more variables, more factors that someone can play with when they need to design a new clinical trial. So we have built such tools for non-rare disease, but also rare disease, with the Duchenne muscular dystrophy trial simulation tool that was approved by EMA, that is available on the RDC platform, that now industry can get access to prospectively design their clinical trials and maximize their chances of success. So I'll finish with that. Really some long-term prospect for the mitochondrial task force. Hopefully, once we start really to accumulate data, we can start thinking about biomarkers, we can start thinking about disease progression models, These drug development tools are a very prospective outcome that we hope to get, but there's a lot of lessons learned that can be leveraged as we go along with the data aggregation and the work that we do at the Critical Path Institute, and I hope to lead such work within the task force. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Dr. Bétourné. I come from the Huntington's disease space where CPATH has been really a critical partner to nonprofits. And I know that these data harmonization and modeling efforts are so important for collaborating effectively among stakeholders and for optimizing different aspects of clinical trials. So I appreciate hearing about it.